What's up everyone? In this short video I want to talk about the 3 strategies that I use personally up to this day to overcome resistance and get myself to do the things that I know I should be doing. But before we get started, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Achil Rudolph. I'm a social confidence coach and I help predominantly South Asian men develop the kind of social fitness that is necessary to attract the right partner in real life without dating apps. And one of the main problems that my clients face and even I face up to this day in my career is that I know what I should be doing, but I'm just not consistently doing it. And it's especially difficult in the social realm where there's not really an external authority that's telling you you should be going out and approaching some people. There's not really a deadline for that. You can always postpone it. It's the same with working on your side hustle. Maybe you have a business idea, but you're just not getting yourself to really work on it, or with working out. In all these things, there's not really an external force that's creating negative consequences if you don't do what you need to be doing. And so we just postpone it. And the gist of this whole video will be to get you to be able to create that pain and that negative consequence from not doing what you need to be doing on your own. This is possible. An example. I make a YouTube video every week. But this week, to be honest, I was a bit overwhelmed. I published a new voice transformation course in my private school community that you can join for free. And I said, this took me like 3 days. It was a lot of recording, a lot of speaking, a lot of editing. I'm just going to give myself a break on the YouTube. I don't have to do a YouTube video this week. And then I sat here in this countryside refuge of mine and I said, I'm going to relax. But somehow I felt really bad for not making a YouTube video. It created some pain inside of me to let the week end without having posted a new video. So I've built a habit where it feels more painful for me to skip the YouTube video than to actually make it. And making a YouTube video out here is quite a bit of pain too, right? I had to set up this microphone outside. I really wanted this background. But the pain of just going to bed and saying I didn't do a YouTube video, even though I know I could have, was just bigger. And that's a pain that I engineered. And in this video, I want to show you 3 ways that you can do that too. The first prerequisite, though, for this to work is that you have to be aware of the things that you need to be doing. So you want to write down what do you want to actually achieve in your life and then derive what you need to be doing and then find some milestones, some intermediate steps that you can reach in a shorter time horizon, and then from that it'll become pretty clear what you need to be doing. And once you have that, you will notice a lot of resistance to doing those things consistently. But most people don't really look at that. Most people just distract themselves with entertainment, getting drunk, video games, porn, and they're never going to really feel the pain of not being where they want to be. And so that's the first step here. You want to make it very clear where your resistance is, and then you set standards. You set standards around certain behaviors that you expect from yourself in those areas, where you say, I'm not going to accept anything below that. For example, I meditate quite a lot, and I did that in my 20s, but for 10 years I only did a short meditation once a day. And I knew it was kind of helping me, but I don't know why. I just stayed at one short meditation. And it was 10 years until I met my meditation teacher and he said, like, what's going on? You've been at the same level for 10 years. You're meditating every day, but you're not really progressing. You haven't really learned the advanced techniques. And that made me realize that, yeah, something was off here. And so I just decided that I'm going to raise my standard. I said I'm going to now do 2 meditations per day. Both of them will still be short, but at least I'll do 2 meditations. And if I don't do 2 meditations, I decide to create pain for myself. You can do that. You can decide to be in pain after you've set a standard, because a standard is like a hygiene standard. It's like you feel weird and guilty and almost a bit dirty if you don't do what your standard expects from you. You all have a standard when it comes to brushing your teeth. Probably all of you have a standard that you brush your teeth at least once a day. And if you don't do that for 2 days, you're going to feel weird, and you're going to do it because it creates a lot of dissonance. The same way you can set a standard for meditation, for going out, for doing personal development, for working on your business, whatever that is. For working out, I have a standard that I just say 4 to 5 times. I don't go below 4 workouts in a week, even if the 4th one is just a run. If that is not upheld, I feel uncomfortable, and I get annoying to other people around me and to myself, so I just do the workout. So set a standard, and for this to work, you need to also be measuring. You need to be tracking how many times did you actually do the meditation, how many hours did you actually spend on your business, or how many people did you actually approach. So setting standards only works if you can compare where you are right now with the standard, and when you're below that, you just say, this is not acceptable. You just start saying, this is something that I will not accept anymore, and it'll create pain. But the second strategy that you can use to make yourself really feel that pain, because people are usually avoiding pain, so when I tell you, hey, create pain, just feel weird, feel bad about yourself, you're going to say, no, I don't want that. At least a part of you will say, this doesn't sound like very wise advice. It's not going to work. And that's true. And that's why the second element of this whole strategy is to create some urgency. With those things, you can always do it tomorrow. Whether I get fit today or tomorrow or in 1 week doesn't make a big difference. Whether I find my partner and marry in 1 or 2 or 3 years, that's where this saying comes from. It happens when it happens. But when it doesn't happen for many years, you can start to feel some pain. But nevertheless, this resistance is often so strong that it will keep telling you that it's okay and you can wait a little bit longer. And it's always a little bit longer, and you know how this goes. And then it turns out decades pass by and you don't get to where you want to be. And so what you can do here is to remind yourself of your own death. Memento mori. That's one source of urgency for me. And death is still far away, so it doesn't work so well to make me do what I have to do right now. But it's easier to look at my journey to death, my aging. That's something I can measure pretty clearly. I wasn't able to measure that when I was still in my 20s. I was just looking at myself and I always looked super young and healthy. But now in my 30s, I can start to see the signs of aging, right? I look at my hair and it is becoming thinner. I have the advantage of being a somewhat public persona, so I can look up my old videos and look at that hair and say, yeah, that's definitely more full. I have aged in the last 2 years. That reminds me of the urgency. If that's not enough for you, maybe because you are still in your 20s or late 20s, look at the aging of your parents. Look at your grandparents. They're not going to be around for a long time. Maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 years, maybe 30, who knows? That will make you feel a bit uncomfortable right now in your seat. Because of course you want to share certain moments with them. You maybe want to share your marriage with them. My grandfather is turning 100. He's turning 100 in a year from now. And I want to show up at his wedding. I want to show up with a lot of charisma. I want to show up with a partner. I want to show up with a great speaking voice so that I can hold a nice toast. That's only going to happen once. That creates urgency for me right now. You can also think of your nephews or nieces if you have some. Other smaller relatives, they're only going to have one childhood, and it's now. How long are you going to wait till you become a kind of guy who they look up to as a mentor? You only have that chance right now. The third strategy that I recommend, after you've created urgency through remembering that certain things just pass by and they happen once and then it's over, you can also join groups of other people who are working on similar areas who can give you accountability. And this also creates a certain kind of pain because it creates the pain of shame. And I don't just track how often I post a YouTube video. I track that in a social habit tracker where my accountability groups my partners for my personal development can see whether I did the YouTube video or not. And on top of that, I don't just let it be this kind of digital accountability mechanism. I also go on a call with those guys, some once a week, some every single day, and I tell them about whether I have actually done what I said I would do. And if I have to tell my accountability buddy tomorrow that I didn't do my YouTube video, even though I told him yesterday that I would do it, it would be very shameful for me. I would not feel comfortable doing that because I kind of promised this guy. And breaking promises with yourself is easy because you feel like it's just yourself, but breaking promises to someone else is much harder. So use that mechanism. You need to find people that you can get into these kinds of accountability agreements with, and it's not easy to find those kinds of people. And ideally, those are people who are on a similar level as you, maybe a few steps ahead. Ideally, you have some mentors who are really a few steps ahead of you, not too far ahead of you so that it becomes unrelatable, but still, in a healthy way, competitive. And you can look at them and be like, wow, he's really rocking. And when that person is not even much smarter than you, you feel like that person is kind of similar to me, but he's still getting amazing results and he's getting more done. That will be extremely motivating for you. So find people like that are a few steps ahead of you. It'll introduce that healthy sense of competitiveness and also, a healthy way of shaming yourself when you don't do what you know you should be doing. So these are the 3 strategies that I recommend. The first one being set standards and then measure your behavior clearly to see whether you're fulfilling your own standards. And if the standard is way too high, you gotta adjust it down so that you usually keep that standard. And then you can increase the standard once in a while. Memento mori, remember your death, remember the death of your parents, your grandparents, remember the fleetingness of everything by looking at children who grow up so quickly and just grow out of childhood before you really know what's happening. And then that opportunity to be a real influence in their childhood is past. And third, look at other people who are on a similar journey, who can push you, who can give you accountability, and who can hold you accountable and create a certain sense of shame if you just don't hold your promises, not just to yourself, but also to other people. If you need more support with all of this, and especially if you need a support group of people who want to give each other this kind of accountability, then please join my free community where I also host some free courses that you can use to get started in this journey of personal development and social fitness training. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a wonderful day. Samgachadvam. Namaskar.